Real men cry, Dwight. It's all good. Happy to see him getting a chance to go home with Atlanta. He signed a 3-year, $70.5 million contract. But, Bomani, are you buying those tears?
I generally believe that people are being too hard on Dwight, right? Like, it reached a tipping point, and he became the dude that everybody in the hallway picked on before third period, right? He's just a big, goofy guy that we all go, that's how we all come together, is telling jokes about Dwight Howard. And I was like, see, Dwight had an emotional moment about going to his hometown, and now y'all just going to joke on him. And then I saw that, and I'm like, hey, that something about that didn't really look like crying. All right? And I don't want to do that to the dude, because if he really cried, it's okay.
I think you are doing it to the dude.
No, I'm just saying. He went from just talking, and then there was a hand in his face, and, I mean, if he says he's crying, he was crying. I'm just glad he said he was crying, because otherwise I wouldn't have thought he was crying. Since he said he was crying, I suppose he was crying.
So you're not buying it?
He says he was crying, Freddie. I have to go with that. I don't want to call the man a liar. The view wasn't good enough for me to tell.
Right.
But if he didn't tell me he was crying, I probably wouldn't have thought that he was crying.
You know, that's the essence, unfortunately, with Dwight Howard. From that standpoint of when it seems like it was going to be a really cool emotional moment, there's complete lack of believability about him being that emotional. And I'm buying his tears, but there's something inside me that's thinking, okay, this is Dwight Howard. This is what he's become. This is no longer, we're far removed from the guy that was one of the most well-likable guys in the NBA.
Fun-loving.
Fun-loving, had the big smile, the big guy, enjoyed the
Superman cape.
Absolutely, all of that stuff. And now we've gotten to this point with Dwight Howard where we're questioning his sincerity.
And the thing is, he only did two things, right? The Stan Van Gundy put him in quite a box there on television, right? That's all-time great setups what Stan walked him into that day. And then the other thing is there's this perception that Dwight let Kobe down, right? Like it really comes back to that. And after that point, people decided that Dwight was soft. I have more people tell me Dwight Howard isn't a Hall of Famer when he's such a no-brainer Hall of Famer. The criticisms,
he's getting in.
The criticisms of his game are so insane to listen to people say at this point because it's just purely a flat-out distaste for a dude that really hasn't done anything to anyone. He's played one season in a city that people actually pay any level of attention to. He's considered to be soft for the play that he put forth in a season where he had a torn labrum and he played through it. He cannot win. And then he had to go and do that, and I can't help him. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, because with Dwight Howard, and I still remember with the Houston Rockets, they're down 3 games to 1 of the Clippers. They come back and win that series. To a man in that locker room, they said, we would not have won that series without Dwight Howard. He put us on his back. He went out there and he had leadership. He had the whole thing that we needed at that moment. We were able to ride that wave and get into the Western Conference Finals. And I think the trappings of that is you want to see that all the time from Dwight Howard, but certain guys aren't built to do that all the time. He was able to do that in that moment. Because Dwight Howard has everything you would want to see in a big man. When he first got to the league, athletic, could run the floor. I guess people have always wanted to see more from him. So I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that Dwight Howard has not become the likable guy we thought we were going to see when he first got to the NBA. And so he gets involved with Kobe Bryant. And not a lot of guys can stand up to that guy in the locker room because Kobe is cutting, he is calculated, he is very, very cruel. That is part of his genius and part of his curse of being a teammate of Kobe Bryant. The whole Orlando situation, Bomani, that you mentioned, yeah, he walked into that and you knew he was not going to win that. People are going to side with Stan Van Gundy. He goes to Houston. He and James Harden, they didn't mix. We're hearing reports that James Harden tried to get him traded. He tried to get James Harden traded. So now a place where he never thought he would have to go, that is going back home. He had no choice. He had 70.5 million reasons to go back home over 3 years with the Atlanta Hawks. So what should have been a great moment with Dwight Howard, I looked at that and I said, I wonder how real that is. I can't dispute that, Bomani. I can't at all with what you just said.
But I also don't care, right? Like, if he cries, he cries. If he doesn't, he doesn't. It's not a deal. I'm curious to see how it goes for him in Atlanta, because the thing about Dwight is, if you evaluate Dwight for what he is, you wind up saying mostly positive things. Where you get in trouble is evaluating Dwight from what he's not or what you want Dwight to be, and then everything tends to go off the rails. I still think you can get a lot good out of Dwight Howard in 2016. It's just going to be a matter of how they use him in the offense and what he can handle, and you're going to have to give him a little bit of attention. You're going to have to pass him the ball a couple times. It makes him feel better about things, and he might make the shots. You never know, right? Like, that you're going to have to do when you deal with Dwight, but I still think that they can get a lot from Dwight.
It's going to be mostly defense because a guy with that kind of athletic ability, why did he never learn or had the ability to have a go-to move? because you look at great players, there's always that one move. You know it's coming and you can't stop it. Michael Jordan late in his career, the fadeaway. Tim Duncan off the glass. Hakeem Olajuwon with the dream shake. Dwight Howard is a gifted athlete before the injuries stepped in, was a gifted athlete. Why he was never able to learn that, where drop step for a baby hook, whatever that was.
That stuff is hard.
I understand that
that's
it's hard.
the thing. It's hard, and it's a game that went away from post-up play in that way. His problem is continuing to want to be a post-up player when the math says it's not a good idea, and he's not that gifted at it. But I get the feeling Dwight tried to do all these things. It just never worked out to the point where he could be a viable offensive option. But that doesn't mean that he can't be a very good player for it.
That's fair, but if he doesn't have that in this offense that's free-flowing and they share the basketball, he's never been the kind of guy that's been a share the basketball kind of guy. I just wonder how much of this is a fit, not just for Dwight Howard, but the Atlanta Hawks, because they play more Golden State, more San Antonio, more Phoenix than in any offense he's ever been in. Houston played that way kind of a way, and that was not a good fit for Dwight Howard.
Can we all agree, though, it's emotional to come home? It is. Come on. Yes.
If you want to.
All right.
For some of us.
When we come back, it was emotional for me. The ESPYs, but it's not about me. Last night we had Rodgers to Rodgers crime. Remember that ridiculous play, and he won for his Hail Mary winner against the Lions. And he beat out quite a few others. Do you guys think that A-Rod should have earned that?